They say love happens when you least expect it. And maybe that's true, because the day I met him, I wasn't looking for anyone. I was just living my ordinary, quiet life. It was raining that evening. I remember standing at the train station, watching the world rush by, umbrellas, footsteps, laughter, and for a moment, everything around me felt distant. Then suddenly, my eyes met his. He was standing at the other end of the platform, tall, calm, wearing that lost kind of smile, the kind that hides 1,000 unsaid words. And in that 1 second, something changed inside me. It wasn't fireworks or music like in the movies. It was silence, pure, peaceful silence. He walked closer, the sound of his footsteps mixing with the rain. He looked right into my eyes and said softly, "Do you believe in destiny?" I smiled, nervous, surprised, and whispered, "Not really, but maybe I will, after today." He laughed, that gentle laugh that still echoes in my head. The train arrived, people rushed in, and before I knew it, he was gone. But his smile, it stayed, like a photograph in my heart. For days after that, I kept thinking about him. I didn't even know his name, yet somehow he had become a part of my thoughts. I started going to that station again, not because I had somewhere to go, but because my heart hoped to see him again. And then one morning, I did. He was standing at the same spot, looking as if he'd been waiting for someone. Our eyes met, and he smiled like we shared a secret only we knew. "Back again?" he asked. I replied softly, "Maybe I forgot something here." He grinned. "Or maybe someone?" I couldn't help but laugh. That was the first time I spoke to him properly. We walked together that morning, just two strangers talking about everything and nothing. He told me his name, Rayhan, and I told him mine, Arohi. We talked about books, movies, dreams, and how both of us loved the smell of rain. It felt so easy, so natural, as if I had known him my whole life. When he left that day, he said, "Maybe we'll meet again." And I said, "Maybe destiny believes in us now." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every moment, the way he looked at me, the way he said my name. It felt like a story was beginning, and I didn't even know what chapter I was in. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Rayhan became a part of my routine. A message in the morning, a smile in the evening, and long calls at night that always ended with laughter. He used to say, "You talk like the world is made of poetry." And I'd reply, "Maybe because you make it sound that way." I never told him, but I started writing again. Small notes, thoughts, lines inspired by him. He became my muse, my reason to dream again. One night, while watching the city lights from my window, he said something I'll never forget. He said, "You know what's strange? Even when I'm not talking to you, it feels like I still am." My heart just stopped. I didn't reply for a moment. Then I whispered, "Maybe that's what connection feels like." That night, I realized I was falling for him. Slowly, deeply, in ways words could never describe. He wasn't perfect. He had his flaws, his fears, his insecurities. But somehow, I saw beauty in them. In the way he overthought, in the way he pretended to be strong when he was broken inside. He made me believe that love isn't about perfection, it's about presence. We met again and again, coffee shops, long walks, rainy afternoons spent sharing stories about our pasts. He told me about the time he lost someone he loved, and I told him about the time I stopped believing in love. And somewhere between all those moments, our broken pieces started to fit together. Then came the night that changed everything. We were sitting by the lake, the city lights dancing on the water, and he said quietly, "I don't know where life is taking me, but I know one thing. I want you in it." I looked at him, really looked at him, and whispered, "I think you already are." That was our first confession, not dramatic, not loud, just two hearts finally finding their truth. That night, we promised each other forever. He held my hand and said, No matter what happens, I'll always find my way back to you. And I believed him. Because when someone looks at you with that kind of love, you stop questioning fate. Life has a strange way of testing the things we believe in. One moment, everything feels perfect, and the next, you're standing in silence, trying to hold on to memories. Rayhan's job took him to another city. Just like that, the person who filled every corner of my day was suddenly miles away. At first, it didn't feel real. We still talked every morning, still laughed over little things. He'd call me during lunch just to say, "Are you smiling today?" And I'd pretend everything was fine. But slowly, calls turned shorter. Messages turned into blue ticks. The distance began to speak louder than our words. Soft rain sound builds up. I used to wait by the phone every night hoping it would light up with his name. Sometimes it did. Most nights, it didn't. Still, I kept believing. Because love isn't about being together every day. It is about feeling each other even when you reapart. Weeks passed. The city felt emptier, quieter. Every place I went reminded me of him. The coffee shop where we laughed for hours, the streetlight where he said he'd never let me go. Everything whispered his name. One evening he called. His voice sounded tired, distant. He said, "I'm just busy, Arohi. You understand, right?" And I said, "Of course." But the truth is, my heart didn't understand at all. Pause. Gentle sigh. After that night, things changed. We still loved each other. I know we did. But love alone wasn't enough anymore. Distance had started writing our story in a language we couldn't read. There were nights I stayed up, reading our old texts just to feel close again. Every good morning felt like a memory now, and every silence felt like a storm. I missed his voice, his warmth, the way he'd say my name as if it belonged only to him. But more than that, I missed the version of us that used to laugh at nothing. Then one day, out of nowhere, he sent a photo of the sunset. It was the same view we once watched together. And he wrote, "I wish you were here." I stared at that message for minutes, my eyes full of tears, my heart whispering, "I wish I was too." That night, I realized something about love. It doesn't always fade because people stop caring. Sometimes it fades because life moves faster than hearts can follow. Music swells softly. But even through the distance, he remained my favorite thought. Every shooting star I saw, every soft breeze that touched my face, they all carried a piece of him. Maybe one day, I thought, fate would be kind again. Maybe one day, our paths would cross once more. Until then, I decided to hold on to his promise. No matter where life takes us, I'll find my way back to you. And somewhere deep down, I still believed he would. Time. It changes everything. Faces, voices, even the way hearts breathe. But some memories refuse to grow old. Months passed. Life kept moving, as if nothing had paused for me. I buried myself in work, in books, in noise. Anything that kept me from hearing my own heartbeat whisper his name. But even silence has a way of finding you. Every now and then, I'd see a couple laughing in the rain, and suddenly I'd be back at that train station, looking at him for the very first time. One afternoon, I received a message from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "I'm back home." My hands trembled. My heart didn't know whether to be happy or scared. After all this time, what could we even say to each other? The next evening, I walked by the old cafe we used to go to, and there he was, sitting at our table, his eyes searching the doorway as if he'd been waiting for years. For a moment, I couldn't move. He looked different, older, quieter, but that smile, still the same. He stood up. "Arohi," he said softly. And just like that, every memory came rushing back. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing, about where life took us and how both of us pretended to be fine. He said, "I tried to forget you, but every time I closed my eyes, you were still there, smiling like you used to." Tears slipped down my cheeks. I whispered, "And I kept waiting for a message that never came." Silence filled the space between us, not the painful kind anymore, but the kind that feels like peace. He smiled faintly. I'm not here to ask for another chance, he said. I just wanted you to know. I never stopped caring. I nodded. Maybe we were never meant to last forever, I said. But we were meant to learn what forever feels like. He laughed softly. Still poetic, he said. And still mine, even if not by name. We both knew what that moment meant. Some stories don't need an ending. They just need understanding. When he walked away that night, I didn't cry. For the first time, my heart felt full. Not because he came back, but because I finally understood why he had to leave. Love isn't always about staying. Sometimes it's about growing apart so you can learn how deep your feelings truly were. He taught me that love isn't found, it's felt. And even if it fades from life, it never fades from the soul. Now, every time I see the rain, I smile. Because somewhere out there, I know he smiles too. And that's enough.